Welcome to Soul Speaks 5D, Isabella Greene. We've heard a lot about you. It's going to be a pleasure to get to know you right here in front of everybody. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for sharing space with us and honor us with your presence, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. This was kind of a thought in my mind when I was, because I'm your listener. I've been following you for a while, and a few weeks ago I was listening to you and Magenta Pixie, and I just had this passing thought that, oh, wouldn't it be so nice to be on that podcast too? And just a couple of weeks later, it just all came together. So I'm really grateful for all the people who thought of me, and Simone especially, who actually made an introduction. So I'm super excited. And we're on the on the new moon today. It's a new beginning, and for me, definitely a new beginning, next level, I think.
Very cool. For a lot of people too. I was reading a new moon post. It has a new moon in Aquarius. I don't follow that stuff, but it sounded pretty good. Just so everyone knows that doesn't know Isabella, she's a way shower, a metaphysical specialist, and a spiritual healer. So we'll talk about that. She helps people to clear the past into understanding and embodying their higher missions on Earth. Her work is multidimensional and extends beyond the limitations of 3D. So I would imagine you've been doing this for a while. I just get the feeling.
Not really, because in 2011, I started a coaching practice and called myself a happiness coach. And that's all I knew. In 2012, I moved. It was just talking, just sharing information through talking. But then I moved to Sedona and focused on changing my life, restructuring everything within my own life. And as that started happening, I started clearing all the trauma and emotional stuff from the past, and tapping more and more into my abilities. I was meditating heavily. First year and a half, I pretty much all I did was meditating. And 4 years, no, that was 2012. So 6 years later now, I'm surprised myself to what level works through me. I tap into different levels of work, and every year the work is different. Every year I have to update my website, my services, sometimes even a couple times a year, because the expansion is constant. It's quite a ride, I tell you.
Was there something that opened you up? Was there a certain divine essence or galactic family member or anything in particular that sticks out or stands out that opened you up initially?
It was one sober guy in an empty bar.
Yeah, one sober guy in an empty bar. Well, that's a pretty good story. You're gonna have to share that with us.
Okay, so I worked for financial services industry. I actually got to do in life everything I ever wanted. I wanted to travel the world, and I ended up getting a job that allowed me to travel the world. I wanted to live in the United States. I wanted to have a really rich human experience, which I did. And then in 2010, I got laid off from that fancy job where I was traveling the world on a corporate account, and which was a great setup there. But I got the feeling that I wasn't born to do this. I wasn't born to make the corporate environment rich while I'm sitting there slaving 12 hours a day and stuff. So I started seeking the answer. What am I here to do? And at some point I was coming back from a yoga class, and I had this really strong feeling to go into a bar, walk back from the yoga class and stop at that specific bar. And like, I don't even drink. Why do I? But the feeling was go there and have some tea. And specific bar. I'm like, okay, specific bar. So I went there, and there was only one person in that bar. It was completely empty. They didn't have tea at all. So I ordered a water, and I'm sitting there going, all right, what am I doing? And that person kind of woke up and looked at me and said, what do you do? And, you know, people talk when there's an empty, like, awkward space. And so I said, well, I do corporate stuff, this and that. And he's like, no, what do you do for people? And I got annoyed, actually. I said, well, who are you? Why are you asking me all these questions? And he said, because I see something in you. And this is why I'm asking you all these questions. And I started thinking, I said, well, I've always been kind of called like a muse because I've been supporting, I was in the musical community, always around artists and musicians. And so I was always inspiring for people in some way. And also a lot of people came to me for emotional support and advice and all of that. I just naturally had that. And so I told him that, and he said, that's what you're supposed to do. And I said, I started thinking to myself, what is he talking about? And then he said, hang on a minute, I'm going to do something. And he leaned across the bar, tapped me right into the third eye. And it was like the fireworks went off. I literally just like picked up my yoga mat and walked out of there going like, yeah, what just happened? And as I'm passing him, he gives me his card, which I looked at when I got home, and the card said quantum healer something or other. And this is how, and 2 weeks later, I was in California. So that night I couldn't sleep. I was Googling like people who inspire people, people who talk to people, who are those people? And so 2 weeks later, I was in California getting certified for life coaching work. And then it all just expanded from there.
Wow. Did you ever talk to that guy again?
Yeah. But it wasn't, I think that was the only purpose why he showed up in my life.
I was just wondering if he ever showed up again, because was he an interdimensional shaman being or something?
Oh, he's doing this work. So at that time, I had no idea what that meant, or what he was into, what he was doing, what kind of level of access he had or understanding. But now I know. Now I understand that he just had the gift of vision. And yeah, he was doing energy work and sessions at that time for people. So, but it never developed into any sort of a friendship or connection. It was just kind of like, oh, hi, well, thank you. That was great. Yeah.
It was an activator. So at that point, up to that point, had you ever even considered the third eye? You know?
I had no idea. I had no idea. Yeah. I had no idea what the third eye was. When he tapped me on the forehead, I had no idea what the third eye was.
So this was prior to going to Sedona, right?
Yeah, that was 2 years before Sedona.
And so then when you went to Sedona and you were meditating a lot, did you pick up energies? Did you start connecting with different energies? And what were they if you did?
Mostly, I had to restructure my entire state of being. Because I was super analytical. I was a hardcore partier. I was the New York underground rock and roller, full on, and working during the day in a corporate environment and drinking heavily and partying heavily. And I was very sick. I was sick pretty much throughout my entire body. Every day I'd wake up and there was something more that was wrong with me. And so what I did, before I came to Sedona, I learned about Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and I learned his style of meditation. And I was basically clearing layers and layers of my own conditioning as to change the personality, because he was always saying the new personality creates a new personal reality. And I was very stubbornly creating my new reality, new state of being, so that I could assist myself and then get to the point where I'm reasonably clear to be assisting others. And that was my main focus for the first couple of years. And then I learned the meditations to actually activate the pineal gland. And so these I've been doing for the last 4 years every night. At 3 in the morning, I get up. It's an advanced yogic practice. So about between 2:30 and 4:30 in the morning, I get up. Now I wake up naturally to do that. I meditate. That gave me access to all kinds of stuff, knowledge and dimensional interactions, interdimensional interactions, understanding, and just layers and layers of stuff outside of this dimension. So this is where I'm at now.
Was it what was it like when you first started to connect dimensionally? I mean, you didn't know anything about it when you met this sober guy in the bar, but once you started this practice, I mean, when you had your first real experience, were you shocked, or were you did you just take it in stride?
It's fascinating. It's something that is, and I'm going to speak from the perspective of someone who was a hardcore partier. So it was better than any drug I ever taken. And it was better than any induced experience I ever had. And it was so heart opening, and the level of love that you tap into is unparalleled on earth. And so it's a life-changing experience. You have one of these and you want more. And so that's what kept driving me every night. I would, at first couple of years, alarm would go off and my voice in the head would be like, oh, come on, you're so tired. And the second voice would say, hey, you got this excited ride coming up. This is what you're here for. Come on, let's do it. And so that voice always took over. Yeah, it's incredible. But I had strange experiences and abilities since I was a child. I just completely shut that all down to basically provide for my survival in the United States. You have to be reasonably together to work in corporate America and financial services industry. So I just kind of filtered out all of my magical abilities at that point.
Now, did you have, did you get some clear direction as to what your life path was specifically, or just in general? And in these sessions that you're having in Dimension?
You mean the guidance?
Yeah, like with the guidance that you were receiving, did you get specific direction, or did you? Some people talk about they just get these feelings. Other people get specific words or images and that type of thing.
I knew that I was going to continue helping people. I started with coaching and it worked really well. And people were telling me, oh, what is it that you do with your hands? And I said, what do you mean? It was still in New York. And they said, when you move your hands while we're talking, I get tingles or I feel like heat waves. And I had no idea what the energy was, that I was actually moving energy as I was talking with them and stuff. And so it started coming in as I was meditating, and the various experiences started coming in to facilitate expansion. Or like, okay, so you can do energy work. What is energy work? So let's find out. All right, so I learned that. Next thing, can you do it remotely? Let's see. And person can feel it all the way in Australia. Wow, this is so cool. So now I can now be at home in my preferred environment and do these incredible remote energy sessions and read. And then I became aware that I can read Akashic records, what's called Akashic records, but it really, you just tap into the person's soul flow, and I can, I basically do an out-of-body experience in every session. And we get an out-of-body experience. When you get out of body, you have access to all of the information, whichever you focus on. And so I focus on people and I collect information for them about their soul journey. And then I also assist them in energetic clearings. And I recently also, I never in a million years thought I was going to do entity clearing, but now I'm doing that too. And here I'm getting very strong guidance in meditations as far as how to process each different type of spirit, how the meditations taught me how to talk to different types of spirits, how to interact with different types of spirits, how to hold a certain level of confidence, that you're not scared of the weird beings that show up, because they're all around. You see them, like the meditations. In meditation, they'll just get out of the body, and the first layer you see is lower astral. There's a whole bunch of stuffs there. Then you get the ethers, and there's a whole bunch of stuff there. And then you get to go into different cosmic spaces if you focus on that. And then you get the void, which is called the samadhi, and there's nothing there, and then everything at the same time. So yeah, that's what the meditations. But as far as guidance, I was summoned by various what's called councils.
Yeah.
Where they would basically confirm, all right, you're doing the right thing, you're ready for expansion. And this is how the conversations were very simple in that space. I was like, you ready for another level? Yes, I am. Ching. Okay.
Now, do these councils, were they more identifiable with galactic star family lineage?
Yes.
Or yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And yeah. Any ones that you identify with the most, or any ones in particular?
In my observation, it depends on where you're at yourself. Like Pleiadians would be on a very basic level, when you just open in the heart and you're learning about unconditional love. It's all about being an empath, and so the Pleiadians come in for people and interact with people and assist and guide on the beginner level of light worker experience, I believe. Then in my experience, I had that for a while. Then I had I kind of graduated that, and so I went into the Arcturian level, and this is a lot of wisdom. These were the teachers to the gods, so to speak, on Earth, and so these are highly regarded beings that are in charge of spiritual guidance in the galaxy, let's just say, right? And so that was there for a while, and I was receiving a lot of information and sharing that. And then that graduated that, and then I had an Andromedan council with like the peacemakers of the galaxy, and that was my favorite because I love that energy very much. But you still have access to all the others. It's not that you lost access to all the others, but you kind of move on. And then it just gets to the point when you tap into the space that everything is present. It doesn't have to compartmentalize itself into any specific cosmic race or type of being. Although I was just summoned for a meeting with the entire council aspects that I've ever worked with, including my own aspects of the higher self. And that was right before the New Year's. And they said, hey, we check in functions, we check in the structure of this entire system here, we check in what kind of work is being shared. And so we're looking basically on the upgrade all across the board.
To kind of like a tune-up.
Yes. Yeah. Like I actually got to see the aspects that I saw that I haven't worked with for a while, and they're kind of dormant, and they were like, okay, so we can check out of here. And there's the other ones that were, all right, so we are moving our functionality to a whole different level again. I have a video about that on my YouTube channel, which is very simple, IsabellaGreene.com. But that was just recent, and it blew my mind when that happened, because I got to see like the entire team that I have been connected with on that level.
Now, do you think some of these aspects, as you mentioned, higher aspects of yourself, higher self, do you think some of these aspects are embodied in you, or more so, and some are not, more like family or extensions?
Yeah. I know that some of them are actually me in the future or in a different location. And so there is this connection to this vessel. When you work on the vessel, you work on your state of mind, you work on your emotional traumas, you clear so much that your frequency gets higher and higher. You gain access to various levels of your own self within your stream. But there are also some beings that I kind of hired to assist me with various functions within my structure of my work that I did not have within my stream. Yeah, so these serve as, let's say, guardians, right? If I know I'm going into a challenge in space, that I call these in, and you can literally create contracts, like a service agreements with specific race, and they will assign a type of a being for you to work with, and you know them by name. You get to hang out with them. I did that in meditations. I would hang out with them in meditations first, and then we'll go like, okay, so we got this assignment now. I'm calling you in to assist me. And so I got to see all of these guys too, and some of them are just adore. They're just so amazing beings. That we're multidimensional. We're operating in so many different realities that you just need to tweak the brain a little bit to get to see it, and then it's a fascinating ride.
Have you, I'm curious, have you seen any evidence of aspects of yourself that you've embodied in your human vessel actually incarnate externally in your physical, like through friends or acquaintances?
Twin flame? Like a twin flame?
I don't know if it's twin flame so much, but to say you say you embodied a particular divine goddess aspect, or maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. Have you had any experience of actually seeing them incarnated physically in another vessel on your path?
Yeah, this is very common in my experience, because it seems like we have a group of, if we take cosmic races, or what was considered deities or higher dimensional beings, they don't incarnate linearly. It's not that, oh, I'm the only one connected to the specific goddess, for example, right? It's very, I mean, there are multiple, infinite amount of people who are carrying the same or sharing the same aspect.
Right.
And you just learn to recognize that if you see that person. Like if we take, for example, like a Lyran race, it's so common. It's incredible how many of the Lyran race people are around, and you can see them. It's clearly visible. At least I can. Well, it's clearly visible who is connected to what, and when you carry in that aspect, you have that recognition too. Goddesses and beings that it's a different dimension. They're like there are cosmic beings that are connected within people's streams, cosmic races. There are also different types of what we used to call, what we understand as gods and goddesses. There's a gradation, and yeah, it's common. We, again, on Earth, we seem to have a specific number of souls that are interested into incarnating into humans, and so you can carry multiple of those aspects within self. And then when you know these aspects, you have the eyes to see them, you recognize them in other people. Yeah.
So, and in regard to your clientele and to your practice, what's been the most remarkable experience or experiences you've had in facilitating a client?
Oh my God, I just had that happen. It just happened last week. I'm so excited. I actually do a little program on my YouTube channel that I call Soulstream Sessions, where I talk about sessions, not all of it, but the highlights, stuff that is not personal I can share, just for people to pick up knowledge and information. And I just had this session from out of this world where I actually was receiving the intel that I had no idea about in my physical head. I was sitting down just writing things that were coming in through, and actually the Andromedan collective showed up and were narrating, were talking about the person who was pulling 2 karmas about etheric technology from Tiamat or Moldak that no longer exists. I didn't know any of that. I didn't know any of that really, that it really exists. And so I just recorded that, and hopefully tomorrow I get to edit in it, and I will put that on my YouTube, and you'll see that I'm sitting there like, after that session. After that session, I felt like I could walk on walls for like 4 hours, just because of how phenomenal it was to see the level of information that you can pick up once you just get out of body and connect with a specific person. And so this was probably the most outstanding session so far. And it literally just happened. Thank you for asking that question.
Yeah. Well, I think there was multiple reasons I did. One of the things, well, let me ask you this too. You know, in the work of Allison Coe, more recently, and who's the lady that did QHHT?
Oh, Dolores Cannon.
Yeah, in that type of work, both of them kind of assimilated all of their client experiences and could kind of see a trend or patterns or even history. Have you had any of that type of intel come into you where you can kind of put a composite together? Is there a trend happening, and is there a common message as you've gone down this path?
Wake up is the common message.
Wake up. Get your shift together.
Get your shifts together. I'm very familiar with Dolores Cannon and the QHCC. I actually took a course of hypnosis to compare what I do. But I work with people who actually are non-hypnotizable. They don't have to go on the hypnosis. I'm just I'm guiding the relaxation process while I'm in the background sneaking all of the information in. But the trend is generally this, that mass awakening is happening. And there's no getting away from it. Like, it literally is like when your number is up, you got to get your shift together and make life changes or else. And it's across the world. It's across the board. There are people who are scholars and academia and scientists. And I actually worked with one of the leading oncologists on the East Coast, who was secretly telling me about his experiences. So we have key players positioned in industries that require restructuring at this time. This is not a prediction anymore. This is not a joke anymore. This is not some woo-woo talk. Earth is going through massive restructuring, and people are awakening everywhere, in every industry, in every structure that needs restructuring. So I would say that this is the message. But as far as if we compare what I get from Dolores, like similar to what Dolores Cannon was getting in the books, the stories are in a way similar, because I'm a cosmic soul. I'm on Earth to do the work here, and I tap into my abilities, and if I'm open enough, I understand what's happening. If I'm not open enough or not aware enough, then to me it's so weird that I need to call Isabella Greene for her to explain. It's just I don't know if I answered that question.
No, you did. You did a great job with it. No, absolutely. Mm-hmm. What was I going to ask you? I think one of the other reasons that I asked you that question was so you would bring the Andromedan part out, because, and I don't know, I've always been told as the individual goes, so goes a collective, and then learned hanging around Morgan that there's collective energies or collective happenings that occur for everybody at the same time.
Yes.
And so, I've always, of course, the Pleiadians, a lot of people, Pleiadians have been present for a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of them bring them into the fold, Yeah. I've read people talking about that, talk to people about that. Syrian seems to be a big one.
Yep.
There's other ones too, but
right.
For some reason I've been feeling Andromeda, and I've seen people writing about it over the last 10 days or so.
Right.
Is there something to that in your experience recently? Are they coming to the forefront? Is it something they're bringing to the table, or is it just just a bunch of stuff that doesn't mean anything.
They got no. In my observation, they started coming online very strongly probably 2 years ago now, in my observation. It doesn't mean that it is the truth for the rest of the people, because some people have been connected to that collective for, I don't know, a couple decades. I don't know. But I've observed that a really high amount of people started receiving messages or activating the Andromedan aspect or connecting to Andromedan councils and interacting with Andromedan stuff, because Andromedans, I believe, here's the reason. Andromedans are the ambassadors of peace. And they also teach the true power. We have completely distorted the whole idea what an empowered individual is in this reality. And the Andromedans are teaching the powers, the true power, which is humble, which is peace versus war, which is understanding versus what the old humanity was doing. And I think that we got the Andromedans so involved now because humanity has reached enough or the level of consciousness, or enough people in this density reached the level of consciousness that allows us to understand that message and to bring that message forth. And it goes, in my experience, it goes all across the board, like women understanding what it is, the true feminine power.
Yeah.
Men understanding what the true power of manhood is. Not someone who's going to go and kill at any provocation and be a good warrior, but they actually with the support of the concept of the warrior of the heart. You embody your own power. You understand that with their guidance, with that energy coming in, or within your own self, and then you influence the course of history or evolution on this planet. And so this, in my observation, has been the main interaction with the Andromedans. I think that it had to do with and I don't know enough, and I'm sure there are people on the stream that do know enough about that, but there was a lifting of a quarantine 2-3 years, something, maybe 4 ago. And this is what allowed this guidance to start coming in full on. So I am observing the Andromedans being very active, participating in the sessions, communicating, even if they're not in the person's stream per se, but they would come in as guides into the session. And like in that session I was just describing, that's going to be on YouTube hopefully tomorrow, they came in and they did the communicating with the person and sharing that, you know what, you have collected enough skill, enough understanding of power disempowerment throughout gazillion of incarnations in 2 different places, not only on Earth but also in Tiamat and Moldak reality. And so now we're here because you already have the skill to bring forth the true understanding of power. So I've been talking for a while here. Hopefully
that's good. That's good. That's good stuff. And I just want to cite too, I love what you say about what's available in the stream of a person. There seems to be something dropping away, and that's people over-identifying with a particular essence that they might connect with, which seems to be no more advantageous than sticking to a label given to us here on Earth, because we are infinite. I would have a question too. So in these sessions, when you're working with clients, especially these last few months, now are they seeing, in some cases, are they seeing and getting what you're getting? Or are they just listening?
Some do and some don't. And here's how it works. I start the session with the guided relaxation, and I work on preparing the vessel, the physical form, to receive the energy. And I actually call in the higher aspect to do the activations. And so we reconnect the original blueprint of the soul, restructure the DNA and the cellular structure within one session. But after I clear everything, and so when in this particular recent session, when that higher aspect came in to do the activation, and the Andromedans came in to actually guide the whole thing, there was two different things. The person saw or experienced that presence and told me that he knows that presence. He's seen it kind of vaguely show up in his meditations too. And then he's actually thought that he was connected to Andromedans, or was receiving, thinking that he was receiving guidance when in out-of-body experiences. But it was never that solid. Majority of people experience physical sensations when I'm doing the activation. The activation happens at the end of the process when I cleared the entire energy form. I look at what's in there, what we can readjust. So to prepare the vessel to be able to take this kind of energy. Then we call in the higher aspect and it starts sharing the energy with the vessel so you can anchor it in this density. People experience full body tingles, people experience heat waves, people experience visions, but not everybody. It really, I think, depends on how open each person is.
Yeah.
That's the first part. Then I get off the phone and the person continues laying down. Very often because the aspect is there and I'm holding space, they're able to communicate with that aspect. Very often I get channeled message from the higher aspect there too. So they receive a message or channeled message directly from that collective that's working with us. And so when we get off the phone, I no longer have to speak, so I can do a full-on out-of-body experience. And this is when I interact with these beings and I receive all the questions that the client asked. And then I also do removals if there are any spirits that I need to interact with. And so the second half is what I'm experiencing, and then I talk about that in the third half of the session. It's a long process.
It sounds like it. Now, so, and one of the things too I find interesting about what you're saying, I believe it. It seems like all of these aspects and energies that are coming into our streams, whether they be a guide or actually in our stream, based on what you're saying, they are guides. They are there to give us information and so on. And this message that you were saying the Andromedans bring down, which is about empowerment, which is the opposite of disempowerment, in taking our power back. But that in the end of the day, we've got to do it for ourselves. The individual has to do it for himself.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Almost every message that comes through is create space to listen. In almost every channel, regardless of which cosmic race we're talking to, which aspect we're talking to, if the channeled message comes in after the activation, okay, we just finished that, do you have anything to say to the client? The message comes through and they always say the same thing: create space to listen, which means go deeper into your meditative space, which means bring your frequency up, which means change your diet, which means pay attention to where the vessel is at, which means perhaps make life choices or life changes, so that you are able not only to assimilate the restructuring that just happened into your conscious awareness, but also you have access to that guidance. And the guidance comes in the form of downloads. You know, if a person is sitting there and is in high frequency and they're able to get into this deep meditative state, all of a sudden they're going to receive a bunch of information. It doesn't mean that they're going to visually observe the presence. Not everyone is visual. It doesn't mean that they're going to have a voice in their head. No, that's quite rare, actually. But you all of a sudden, because all of the communication is telepathic. It's all through the heart. It's all telepathic. So all of a sudden, you just know something new. And so if that happens in the space that you listen and write it down, because the minute you wake up in your 3D reality the next morning, it's wiped out. So this is very important. And this is why people say, why the higher aspects say create space to listen. We need to tune in deliberately. Some people are lucky that they have that all the time. Not lucky or open enough that they have that guidance all the time. Some people need to actually deliberately develop that channel.
Let me ask you this: Have in your experience, individually and as a practitioner, how present or involved has let's say the elementals and even the on-planet star family been?
The elementals, well, the elementals are everywhere. It's like bacteria, it's everywhere. We don't see them, but they're everywhere, right? The same as with the elementals. Some people are more connected to like this, let's say, fairy realm than the cosmic realm, all right? And that's where they're at. And that's either their choice or it's where they're at. And so they're interacting on that level. Some people do shamanic mind expanding medicines and stuff, and so that gives you access to animal spirit, plant spirit, low astral spirits, and the elementals very easily. And so they kind of very often just get stuck there and loop within that density or within that layer of interaction, and they observe that a lot of elementals are present as entities. They like to take a little ride in the human form, and so these are the different types of elementals. But yeah, they're everywhere. It's it's a part of this whole density.
Yeah, I just wondered if they had involved themselves in these sessions. I've never really heard anybody talk about that. But that makes sense.
The only thing that I've had to do with the elementals is remove them from people's organs after taking, say, ayahuasca trip, or because they will populate the form and create kind of like a glass ceiling. And it's great for someone who is just coming out of solid 3D and they had their shamanic ritual or shamanic ceremony, and they use those medicines to expand themselves to that level. But if they are interested in reaching past that level, it's good to remove the spirits that actually work on that realm through those practices and through those substances and herbs that are present on Earth, but they all very, very much linked to the elemental level.
Yeah. Now, have you seen any evidence as time has gone on, as time's passed, especially these last few months and even this year, in your practice, of where people are taking on a greater role or understanding of their own self-healing?
Oh yeah. This is the whole purpose. First of all, there's nothing else exists except self-healing. Really, what I can do is I can bring the energies, I can give the guidance. If the person does nothing about it, it's not going anywhere. This is like you can have a recalibration, you can have an activation. If you go back to, let's just say, McDonald's, eat that, and then go watch Super Bowl and get wasted, you just wasted all of that effort.
Right back where you started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the consciousness has to meet the rubber has to meet the road for the person to actually have a change that is visible within 3D reality. First. And secondary, I labor to teach the people, and this is the coaching piece at the third piece of the session is where I give exercises and suggestions and recommendations, and so that the person can actually take the process into their own hands and expand on their own. Any healer that tells you that, oh, you know, just show up and we'll take care of all your problems, we're going to heal you, that's either someone who is seeking financial gain, or they're seeking, or they're like at the very beginner level, really, you know, because once you've had enough work and you've reached a certain understanding, you know that there's no such thing as external healer. It's all internal healer.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's the mark of a true healer. Not to take anything away from anybody, because they could be stuck in an old loop, you know, just something they got to get through.
The beginners, you know, they start playing that and they're saying, oh, I'll take care of all your problems, bring your blockages to me and I'll take care of them. And it's all right, you know, because they have beginner clients too who believe that. But the whole system really supports itself in a space like, I don't know, kind of like the stairway, you know, there's one step and there's this level of healer, this level of clientele. The healer is a little bit ahead of that clientele, and so they're going to be pulling in these people. And then there's the next level, and they're pulling in the next level of people, and that's how it works. I've been the healer of healers for a few years now. You know, basically the people who are not really healer, but kind of more giving like an activation.
I was going to make a joke.
Okay.
I was gonna say, have you ever pulled up someone's higher self and they just look at you and say, "I can't get through this idiot"? So now you were in Sedona a while. I'm kidding. I'm joking. It's all reverent.
Hey, we have to operate, even if the human mind would think that, we have to operate from the place of unconditional acceptance of the person, where the person is at that moment of their journey. And if they don't progress, it's not our job. Our job to assist and just leave them where they're at. They're going to progress and meet you on the next level if that's their thing.
That's right. That's exactly right. We're all on the same road. Now, you spent some time in Sedona.
Yeah.
And I think, if I remember correctly, you're involved with an event in Sedona coming up. Is that right?
Oh yeah, the spring is going to be pretty busy here. Is this the time where I go over what my plans are?
Yeah, you can. Now, where do you live now? Are you in?
I moved outside of Sedona, about 45 minutes away from Sedona, which for Sedona is tremendous distance away. But I come from New York City, so it's not even halfway to Brooklyn, you know, from Manhattan.
Yeah, right. I know. I was there in September and October, and I had a really good time there. I met a lot of people. Got to hook up. I covered a couple of events over there. I filmed some conferences. Now, but you're not too far out of Sedona now.
Yeah, I have this constant, I would say, longing for being in a monastery, actually. And so, of course, I'm not going to go in a monastery in this day and time, but I created a lifestyle that is as close to that as possible. And so I rented a house on the top of the hill in the middle of nowhere. There's a desert behind my house with all kinds of wildlife. I have access to nature at all times. I have complete peace and quiet. Cell phone does not work here. All of the 5G towers, that's all far away. And I'm loving the silence and the solitude and the peace within that this living environment supports very much for me. So I'm focused on my work here. I have my little office. I have my little studio. I have my cozy living space and my fireplace right there for you guys. And I can sit on a day off. I can sit for hours motionless staring out at the desert, and I'm as happy as it gets. So that's why I moved out of Sedona. It was getting super intense there, and a lot of people know me. And so I kind of distanced myself into like this not quite modern day monastery existence.
You create a little heaven on earth, I think somebody just said. That's the same thing I was thinking.
Yeah.
So, but I think I saw a flyer of an event that you're doing in, I think, March.
Yes.
I think Shakina's there. David Wilcock, is that one of them?
Yes. This is actually in April, and this is our third Sedona Cosmic Awakening. I am a part of the group here that's called Team Light. It was created in Sedona by our captain, Rion de Rowan, and now we have Team Light Canada, Team Light Cyprus, Team Light Gaia, and the Team Light core Team Light here Sedona. And so I'm a part of that group, and so one of our brightest Thunderbeat Devara, she had a passion in her heart to create this conference, and so finally that came together 3 years ago. This is going to be the third event, Sedona Cosmic Awakening, April 12th through 14th. This year, I was a speaker previous years as well, but this year I'm opening and going to take the people out into an open-hearted space for contact, preparing for contact meditation. And then I'm also talking about living in shared consciousness from cosmic to human, all different levels. So this is really exciting because we do have David Wilcock and one of other specialists, which I forgot now the name. So that is really exciting. I've been a part of the alumni speakers, presenters at Sedona Yoga Festival, and also observed how that started a few years ago, 6 and 7 years ago now. And so that is actually in March 14th through 17th. I'm teaching the workshop Embodying the Lightworker Path, because I believe that we have to live what we preach. We have to be what we're sharing, what we're teaching fully. And so this is my workshop. I'm going to be introducing one of my favorite teachers, incredible light sister Sandra Walter, on April 27th. She just needed an MC, and she's bringing this wonderful gathering here, the Light Tribe Gathering, the Crystalline Convergence event, and that's April 27th. So the springtime is going to be pretty exciting for me here as far as public appearances. Not that I like my peace and solitude, but once in a while come out and experience public appearances is pretty nice.
Yeah, we all got to step out a little bit now, don't we?
Right.
It seems to be part of what's happening this year. Yeah. Well, make sure that you put all your links in the comments for anything that you want and anything you would like to get expanded some awareness on. You can send a message to me or Morgan, and we'll put it out through the network.
Thank you.
Well, love to.
One more development that just came up. I got an offer to have my own channel on a private TV network, Spy TV. So I'm kind of dragging my feet with that, but that's gonna start happening at some point. It's subscription based with pretty reasonably cost, and then my YouTube channel. I talk about everything that comes in, all of the visions, all of the sharings, the sessions, any guidance. It's all on my YouTube channel, Isabella Greene. So if you guys are not subscribed yet, please subscribe and do follow me. It's awesome.
Excellent. I'd love to collaborate with you again. Maybe we'll see you in the Sedona area.
Sounds awesome.
Like so many things right now, we're just taking it a few days. We can only see a few days ahead. So yeah. But I feel like, I don't know. You just never know. The intel comes in. Now. Yeah, that's it. And that's what choice do we have now? And I think that's another thing that I got out of your, out of what you were talking about with your sessions is that it is, what did you say? I don't want to say you said time's up, but your number's called.
Yeah.
So when your number's called, it seems like the linear experience, the 3D human experience no longer has any relevance. And so I've been saying for a while, if it doesn't make sense, go do it, because that seems to be the guidance I'm getting.
Well, here's the thing. I think we went through that, and then we're back now where a human aspect needs to be integrated as much as non-human aspect too, so that everything is in balance. I think the balance is the name of the game nowadays. So completely overseen or dropping the human aspect is, first of all, not possible. Secondary, we're incarnated into human reality. So integrating the human aspect and all of the rest of the aspects and being fully in touch with the entire structure, I think that's what we're at, and that's where the humanity is going. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree. The human is the hero. I totally agree with that. And
right.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. We have taken all that stuff in, and now we've incorporated it, embodied it, and like you said in your workshop, or what your workshop is about, it's about doing it and being it, and really, and not talking about it and just doing it. That seems to be the new phase.
Right.
And we don't have to teach a lot anymore. But I look forward to getting together with you again, and perhaps Morgan and I will run into you. I'm sure we're all going to run into each other sooner or later. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Todd. I feel like we could have talked another 3 hours, but I'll see you in space.
We could. I'm having downloads come in for the whole time I'm talking to you in prior. So I'm gonna have to get off. Otherwise, I would go a little bit longer. We're gonna have to do some session work.
Awesome.
You understand?
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's see you.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.